What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're taking a look at the Maketoys Hymed. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It is the Maketoys First Aid, and I will say right off the bat, wow, they nailed the G1 alt mode. Like, I don't know, besides the G1 toy, I couldn't imagine a closer representation of First Aid here. I do think we could use a little more detail, like in the rims. It looks very plain and would definitely benefit from some paint. And I'm not a huge fan of this light bar. I don't know if any ambulance actually has a light bar that's this big, but it's kind of big, bulbous, and obnoxious. I don't know, needs a little something. Definitely could use some tampos and everything like that, but that's par for the course for these guys at this point. He does come with a gun. It is the other half of Axel's gun, which I didn't realize until we did the Axel review. And if you want, you can of course plug it into the side if that's your thing. And I don't have any of the other guys in their vehicle mode right now. This is actually the second time I'm reviewing this thing. I accidentally deleted some footage. So there's pictures on my Facebook page if you want to see him next to his Autobot buddies. Otherwise, we'll look at them all when we take a look at Blades in a couple of weeks. So one thing though is when I did look him up online real quick just to find a picture, there was this crazy picture. I'm going to put it right here. See how close he is to Masterpiece Ratchet size? Well, just for comparison, I don't know who photoshopped that picture, but it's not even close. Definitely not Masterpiece size, at least in vehicle mode. I guess you could make an argument for robot mode given how Scramble City, you know, sized up compared to the actual G1 toys, but you know, whatever, it's your collection, do what you please with it. Anyway, let's get this guy transformed. He is relatively straightforward, I would say. We start by opening up these panels here, and then take his arms up like this, and I just like to get all this stuff out of the way right now, and we can focus on one thing at a time. So we'll split his legs down here. These rotate up, and these feet down. Now there is an interesting piece of the transformation here to be aware of. You take this and you kind of clip it back here, but one thing that's not so obvious is that this is on like a spring hinge, so you kind of, if you can get behind it, you can see how you can pop it in through that. That's how you get it out without damaging anything. Something to be aware of. I do wish it was a little more free moving of a mechanism, but whatever. Bring that back of the van up to make his leg, and just kind of close that up like this. So we'll do this on the other side. Bring this up, bring the foot down, bring it around here, and you can see this side for me is a little more loose, but whatever. Take this down, bring it up. Not loose in a bad way, just easier to manipulate that spring hinge there. So there we go. We got his feet done. We can rotate the waist to the other side, so he's got the front facing proper. And let's bring this on up. I also meant to mention in robot or vehicle mode, I don't really care for the robot face being visible through the front, and there's no way you can move it that it's not. Anyway, now that we have that, let's unpeg these and kind of rotate them a little, and that's going to let everything kind of move up and out of the way, and you can kind of fold that down. Now this part always kind of confuses me because it only rotates one direction and then it gets stuck. So if you try rotating it in one way and it doesn't work, just go the other way. And you'll see in this case you do rotate it towards the front and the wheel locks in there, and you can see the way it's molded here and molded there. It won't pass if it goes the right way. So always bring the wheel around past his head. And see, it gets confusing because like some of this stuff back here is messing with my ability to turn it around. So it does end up being slightly confusing. Anyway, make sure all this stuff is all pegged in here. That's definitely a weakness that I wish was expanded upon. You can move these arm joints around. It's mostly for the transformation into limb mode. But I like to leave them here because it's just natural with his shoulder line. If you like them a little higher or something, you certainly can, but to me, I just like the natural with the shoulder line there. And as you saw, I undid the elbow, which was just folding it out. Fold the hand the proper way, so there we go. Fold this out, hand the proper way, and pull it out. And there we've got our little first aid here. in his robot mode, and once again I just feel like they nailed the image of First Aid here. Like, killed it. The flat out killed it. I really like how this guy ended up turning out here. I'll give him his gun here. Real nice looking. Let's talk a little about articulation. The head is on a ball joint. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's on a swivel, and then the actual up and down swivel. So he gets a good range of motion. Unlike most robots, he actually does get a little bit of down going on. Ball jointed shoulder up here, as well as that when you saw the swivel bicep. Double jointed elbow. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. You're not supposed to have these forward. You're supposed to have these forward. And flip his hands that way. That looks more appropriate. I was going to say his double jointed elbow didn't look like it was working, but you get plenty of motion out of there. Because of the transformation, he does end up having a hinge on his abdomen area, so you can get a little ab crunch going on if you want. The waist is not at the waist, it's at the crotch piece, so it does look a little awkward, but as long as you don't do extremes with it, it looks fine. Ball jointed thighs, thigh swivel, a knee that's only single jointed, and then the foot down here is on the little ball joint swivel down here. Overall, I love the posability of this guy. He's just a lot of fun to mess with, and like all these Maketoys Protectobots at this point have been fun to mess with. So let's bring in the rest of them. Here is Rover, and here is Axel right now. Axel's still kind of the most messy looking one of them, and I think that looks good. And you know, obviously the blades is not going to be all that much of a departure here. Let's take Axel out and let's actually put in the TFC First Aid, and you can see the size is actually, at least in robot mode, fairly comparable, but I would definitely closer approximate the TFC version to a masterpiece. In fact, let's leave him in, and we'll come back with the MP clamp down for size comparison. And then, you know, we've looked at the ratchet mold before, so let's throw in the Ironhide mold here. So with the Ironhide here, you can see that it's just no contest on, you know, which van is the masterpiece scale here. So of course with this guy, he also scales pretty darn nicely with your Machine Robo or GoBots, whatever the heck you want to call them. Here's the Eagle. Here's our little pathetic drill tank, drill rod, whatever, screw head. And finally, if he wants to cooperate, here is tank. And yeah, I mean, it is, if you are going to collect like the Machine Robo GoBots line, like they kind of go pretty well with that line. Yeah, I don't really have a complaint for it. In fact, if someone ever made like a replacement head for First Aid and was able to somehow recapture the rescue head, I think I'd be all in on these. And my buddy John also wanted me to bring in the Constructicons, and this is of course the largest of them, the Mixmaster, and that scale still looks good too. I think that these would be two real nice size combiners to put together on a shelf. I think it's just going to look really, really nice. So let's get Hamed back to his vehicle mode and let's get out of here. We're going to start by rotating those fists around and pushing them in since we forgot about them. Let's do them first so we don't forget about them this time. And then the arms, I always kind of have trouble figuring out exactly how they're supposed to go. I believe it's something like this, but we will see it properly when we get there. You can take his head, kind of rotate it back like this, bring these pieces all the way back around to the front, all the way back around to the front, and bring this piece up, make sure it clips in on the sides there, and we got that in position. We'll take his waist, spin it around, and we'll go and open up these thigh panels, and be careful because this panel, it doesn't seem like it's super securely glued in there. I think like if you grip it wrong, I think it does have the potential to break. But anyway, open it up, release that spring clip there, close it up, close up the back of the van, take the foot, rotate it in just like so. Leave this panel open though, makes it just easier to deal with. So there we go, spring clip out. Bring this around and we can peg all this stuff in together. No, we can't. Put the foot in. Didn't realize we forgot that. There we go. Now we can peg this all in together. And this is where we can figure out exactly what we need to do with the hands. Bring this up so it slides in like that. Bring these panels around on both sides here, just like so. Now we'll peg all this top stuff in together. There we go. And now we want to take these and rotate them to the side, and the little tabs on the hands plug into the little tab holes on the thighs like this. So it kind of comes together looking like this, and we may need to adjust these a little bit because if it's not correct, you're gonna have a hard time getting these pieces to cross over. So sometimes you do have to put a little bit of force on these to kind of bring them in together. And this one is not cooperating. What's going on? Oh, you know what it is? I'm sorry. Sometimes I get this and I can't figure out what's going on. It's because the back of the ambulance is getting stuck on this back panel. So you have to pull that out and everything should go together. So yeah, that's first aid. Overall, I think he's great. He's a lot of fun. He's definitely my favorite to mess around with in the set so far. I think I'd do him and then Rover and then Axel. I'm really looking forward to checking out Hotspot once he gets around here. I think it's going to be just a great set and a real fun combiner. So we'll take a look at Blades within a couple weeks. I have a couple other things that I have scheduled ahead of him. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time.